And we are live. What was your day today? You had a long day?
Yeah, typical day. Just trying to get a little work done. That's all. How about
Yeah.
yourself?
Man, cool. I've been in the office all day,
Yeah, I should have
making
been there.
calls, trying to get stuff done.
Yeah,
You
little at
know
a
how it works,
time.
how it goes.
Little at a time.
Yeah. How's my girl little Corey doing?
You said, "What now, Kino?"
How's my girl little Corey? How's she doing?
Oh, she's cool. She's cool. She's cool. Just being Corey. Just being Corey. Being like a mama.
Yeah. She mama girl. She's probably daddy's girl more than mama's girl, right?
Yeah, you know how that is. She's 4, and man, she's learning. Her vocabulary is getting better. She's dancing. She just
Wow.
do, she's just doing everything a typical 4-year-old to do. Plus more.
That's cool. I remember them days, man. I remember them days.
Man, I promise.
But
And
it's
look, it just seemed like it was yesterday. I was holding her in my arms, and
yeah.
now she's running around here causing havoc.
That's cool, man. All right, man. Well, listen, I wanna um, I wanna thank you, man, for taking part in this, so we can get people good information.
I got you.
I do this every Friday around 4:30. I just try to get different people in the real estate atmosphere, whatever the right way to put it, to
Hmm.
answer questions that, like I usually say, you can go on Google and get answers to just about anything. But a lot of times you go straight to the source, talk to somebody who's doing it, has done it, is gonna keep doing it. Sometimes it's the best way to get answers. Like for example, the conversation we're gonna have today,
Okay.
going directly to the source, definitely beats anything else.
Hmm.
So listen, if you're tuning in, my name is Keno Spring, the Vinci Realtor. Call me if you want to find out why I call myself the Vinci Realtor. And then I'm talking to Corey. He is one of my co-workers. He is also a realtor, but he is also a real estate appraiser. And today he's going to be coming to us as a real estate appraiser, telling us what really is a real is an appraisal. Because believe it or not, most of us, including myself, do real estate every day, and we have no idea sometimes what's going on. And
Hmm.
the truth is, real estate agents typically hate appraisals
Right. Right.
because they are totally separate from us. We can't influence them. They do what they do based on their knowledge and expertise. So, hey, listen. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, Corey, and then we'll get into some questions to try and help them learn a thing or two.
Okay. Well, my name is Corey Harris. Of course, I'm a real estate agent and an appraiser. I've been a real estate agent for 7 years now, and I'm a freshly licensed appraiser trainee. And what I mean by trainee is when you first get your appraiser's license, you have to work with under what's called a supervisory appraiser until you get your experience hours. So no one can just come in and get their appraiser's license and start appraising houses. They want to make sure that you have your education, you know about the different types of properties. You pretty much, they want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. And I got my license. I got my trainee license in November, and this February will make 1 year of me appraising homes with my supervisor.
Okay, that's cool. And just for context, today we'll be basically looking at residential appraisal, because I'm gonna figure that commercial and residential are two completely different things in the appraisal world. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, it's completely different. When you get into your residential side, you can either have your regular appraiser license, which is just a regular state license, appraiser's license. You can have your certified residential appraiser's license, and when you dip into the commercial, you get what's called your certified general appraiser's license, and that is a whole nother field. You know, you have to get someone that actually specializes in complex commercial properties to appraise.
Okay, cool.
So when you come in, you have to know pretty much what you want to do when you get in this field, because you can't do both. It's either pretty much one or the other.
One or the other, because it's such a specialized field that you probably need to choose one or the other, correct?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay, that's cool. All right. Well, since that we're talking about appraisal, how about you tell us what is an appraisal? Like, we'll say get a value of your home. Like we'll tell folks, we'll send you an estimate of the value of your home, where a computer determines certain things, but an appraisal is a whole different beast. So what exactly is an appraisal?
Okay, an appraisal is an opinion of value by a licensed professional to pretty much give his honest opinion on what the home is worth. For an example, you might have someone that's been living in a home for 20 years and they just might want to know what their home is worth. They might want to know what kind of value they have in their home, what kind of equity that they might have. And actually, if you're a buyer, you would need an appraisal if you're getting a loan. If you're getting an FHA loan, a conventional loan, things like that, different types of loans, you would actually need an appraisal done because, of course, the banks want to protect their investment.
Okay. Yeah, and kind of what Corey said, usually as an agent, we'll make sure that we set you up with contingencies to make sure that the value of your home is at least appraised for what you're paying for the home. So that way you don't, quote unquote, overpay for the home unless you just choose to do so. Mm-hmm. So good, man. That's absolutely good information. So what would you say are the biggest factors that determines a home appraisal value?
The different factors that would contribute to that is the comps in the area. Of course, when we appraise homes, we have to find comparable sales in the area. So that's what it's pretty much going to boil down to. The comps in the area, the location, of course. Location is a very big factor with doing an appraisal. The size of the home, the square footage, the location, the amenities. It's a lot of different factors that contribute into the factors. But the number one would be the comps, the comparable sales in that particular area.
Okay. So basically, if your neighbor's home sold for a certain amount, that's going to be, if it's similar to your house, you're going to use the ones that are always closest to the home that you are appraising. In other words, if you have comps close by, you don't go way out. You try and get comps that are close because proximity. Is that correct?
Yes. In a 1 mile radius.
1 mile radius. Okay. What happens if you can't find a home within a 1 mile radius that fits the comp, fits the one that you're appraising? What happens then?
Well, we have to extend our search. For example, me and a coworker of mine, Joseph Stansberry, we have a listing right now in Whitehaven. Pretty much the biggest. I'm not going to say the biggest house in Whitehaven, but one of the most expensive homes in Whitehaven. We listed it at $720,000, and of course, it's not a lot of homes that are appraised for $720,000 in Whitehaven. So we had to go to Collierville and find homes that have the similar square footage, similar bedrooms, similar bathrooms, and similar amenities. So that is the only way, being an appraiser, that you can go in different neighborhoods to find comparables is when you don't have any in the neighborhood of the home that you are appraising.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's always an interesting one, to find something that is similar. I give you a quick thing before we move on. And I'm not going to call the celebrity name, but there, long time ago, before I was in real estate, this guy owned a home here in Memphis, and the lady he had living in the house, and my friend, her brother was an electrician.
Okay.
And the celebrity guy, bought a house for the lady from this part of Memphis and moved her to another part of Memphis. But she wanted all the chandeliers and all the fancy stuff that was inside the house. And the agent said to me, that house had so much things, but it didn't matter because all the house around it are only worth so much. So that house is only going to be worth what the house around it are worth. So that's kind of
right. Because people don't realize those documents that we fill out if you alter any of those, pretty much saying that a home is worth more than it is, that is federal time. You can lose your license. That is jail time. So
Okay,
we
you don't
have to
want.
do what we have to do to protect not only ourselves, but to protect the client as well.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Um, so for somebody who's thinking of selling their home, what are some of the upgrades that actually would move the needle? Like, if you do this, there's a great chance that your home can be valued more. What are some of the top um, upgrades that somebody can do to their home that would create such a
Well,
thing?
some of the least expensive upgrades will be interior paint. Interior paint would be something that'll cost a couple of $100s, and it'll give the home an entire new look. Me and my wife, all our properties get new paints. No matter what it is, everything gets new paint. It just gives you a different feel when you walk into the home if you see fresh paint. For a buyer, that's one of the things that we look, that the buyer looks for. A buyer
Hmm.
wants fresh paint, especially when you're spending that kind of money on a property. Buying a home is pretty much one of the biggest investments a buyer will make. So of course
Yes.
they want, they want the best bang for their buck. And another least expensive thing uh, that a seller could do to increase value on an appraisal is upgrades. Upgrades such as curb appeal, landscaping, get your yard cut, plant you a few flowers, get rid of any kind of debris that's in your yard, things of that nature on the exterior. You don't have to go as much as replacing, putting a new roof on and, all of that, but just little small stuff that you can do to just catch the appraiser's eye.
Okay, that's cool. So in other words, there's a very little things that you can do. You don't have to do the big, big things
You
that
don't. You
just
don't.
some simple things. Because you
Simple
know what?
things.
You said that, and earlier on today, I made a post on Facebook about that, and some of the things are just simple, like new paint, like you said, curb appeal, some new mulch.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure your door handles are not falling off.
Right.
So little things can actually make the difference, is what you're saying.
And another thing that appraisers actually keep an eye on, but just look for is upgraded smart thermostats.
Okay.
Replace the thermostat to a smart thermostat,
Wow.
something that's more energy efficient. That'll kind of move the needle as well.
Okay.
Change some of your lightings. If you have previous recessed lighting in your home, get some new LEDs. That'll also increase the value a little bit. So it's
Wow.
just a lot of things that you can do that won't break the bank. That'll also catch the appraiser's eye.
Okay. That would make the difference if you, as a seller, if your home appraised for what you're trying to get for it compared to not being able. Not only that, the thing you said about paint, I think that is such a big deal, because you walk into a house that has a fresh paint job and it's a neutral color, it just feels different. And we go into many, many houses, and
It does.
the ones that are freshly painted just have that feel of like they did something fantastic, and it's just slap some paint on the wall. Well
Mm-hmm.
done, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
it makes a
And then,
difference.
yeah, and then as a buyer, you don't want to feel that you've getting took advantage of with purchasing a home.
Right.
You want to see that the seller uh, has made the effort to put a little money inside the home. Like I said, it doesn't have to be anything too expensive, but you at least want to know that the seller has tried to at least benefit the buyer in some kind of way.
Okay, that's cool. So after you did all your job, you look at all your comps, you do everything. Then a seller be like, you know what? That's not right. That doesn't sound like my house.
Mhm.
What can they do?
They can appeal it. They can appeal it. They can appeal it, and they can actually get the appraiser that performed it to reevaluate it. In other words, and what we would do as an appraiser, we would look at it and say, okay, make sure there are no errors, and if a seller does see any errors on the actual report, they can just write them down to kind of bring them to our attention. And if we don't see anything that we did on our end, they can get a second appraisal done on their behalf.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. That's important to know that way, because when it's like you said, I forget the word you use when you say exactly what an appraisal is. It's it's subjective to some extent. Because,
It
for
is.
example, you can appraise it and somebody is going to appraise it
It
and
is.
they come up with a total different number.
Right. No number would be the same.
Okay.
You know, it might be off a couple of dollars, a couple of $100, but no opinion of value would ever be the same, unless, you know, a guy was on the phone with the guy that did the previous appraisal, but nothing pretty much would come in, at the same exact dollar amount, because
Cool.
it's an opinion. It's an opinion
Right.
of value.
Right. You know? Right. Perfect. And also being an agent, being a real estate agent as well as an appraiser, what would you say is the importance for a buyer to get an appraisal on a home when they're buying the home? Even if they put in a whole lot of money down and it doesn't matter if the bank wants one, why is it important that the buyer still try and get an appraisal on the house?
Are done, and it protects you as a buyer. It protects your investment, because who wants to pay more money than a home is actually worth? You know, you want to know for a fact, okay, my home is worth this from a guy that's licensed to give me this kind of evaluation. So that's the important thing about getting an appraisal done, because you want to be able to sleep at night. You know, you don't want to, start the next day thinking, okay, well, these sellers are trying to get over on me, man. You know, they're trying to charge an extra $30,000 for this home. So that's what an appraisal pretty much protects you from getting took advantage of. And a bank will not loan you more money than a home is worth. So if you're getting a loan, the bank will automatically make you get an appraisal done, because of course the bank wants to protect their client, and they want to protect their investment.
Right. So even if you're paying cash for your home, you got all the money in the world, do like the banks. Still get the appraisal, not because the bank wanted, but at least you will know that you are paying for the home what the home is worth, and not just spending it just because you have the cash. At all costs, save your money, right?
Right.
Okay, that's cool. So how is the appraisal different from a new construction compared to a home that has already been built? So from a new car to a used car, a new house to a house that's been sitting there ready for how many years?
Okay.
What's the difference? What's really the difference there?
Well, it's not really a big difference, but sometimes with new construction homes, we might be able to find comparables. We might be able to find a home that was sold within 30 days that's similar square footage, similar amenities, things like that. But if we can't find any comparables with a new construction home, we have to use what's called the cost approach, to where we take into consideration the prices that were made to build the actual home, the slab, all of the plumbing, the electrical. All of that will be took into consideration, and we will come up on a price.
Okay.
The framing, roofing, everything, all the materials that were used to build the home, we would come up with a price on that, as far as other new homes that were built in a 30-day radius. Okay.
So just now, I ask you, what do a seller do if the home doesn't appraise? He can get an opinion. How about the buyer? If you're buying a home and you offer a certain price, you do an appraisal, and then the appraisal come back and is less, what option does the buyer have then?
Well, the seller, what you can do is you can try to negotiate with the seller. Sometimes the seller will drop the price, considering that no seller really pretty much wants to put the house back on the market, especially if you've been on the contract. The appraisal is pretty much the last thing that you order. You know, you have your inspections out the way. You've already turned in your earnest money. You've came into an agreement on what the seller was supposed to fix, as far as what the buyer wanted the seller to fix. So the appraisal is pretty much the last step that you go through in purchasing a home. That way, because that's the last step, so the buyer can either say, well, okay, I don't want to give you, I know the appraisal came in low, but I want to stick to this appraisal. I don't want to give you any more money. The seller can either take the house off the market, or the seller can negotiate to be compensated less than the contract price. So let's just say the house got on the contract for $300,000, and the appraisal came back at $280,000. Nobody had pretty much no buyers pretty much have $20,000 to put on top of a contract.
Right.
So that's where the negotiation phase comes in, to where it's pretty much up to the seller. It's pretty much the seller's decision on whether they want to proceed with the deal.
Okay, gotcha.
And yes, I had a few sellers that decided to walk away. I don't believe my house is worth no 280,000. I believe it's worth 300,000. And I had sellers actually take their house off the market because they didn't want to, they didn't feel that their appraisal was correct. So they took their house off the market, and it happens.
Right. And again, that's their choice if they want to, but they can't make the buyer buy the house.
They can't make
the buyer. For one, the bank is not going to finance more than the 100%, and the buyer probably don't have that difference to pay for them.
Right.
Unless it was COVID during COVID, then that's a whole different story.
Right. And back in the day, and years ago, we was going through the same thing years ago. Buyers were putting thousands of dollars over the appraisal amount just to secure these homes. So it's pretty much the same thing, But since we're kind of in a buyer's market right now, we're not really in a seller's market. We're still kind of in the buyer's market. No buyer will want to come out their pocket with that kind of money. So that's where the negotiation starts to. Okay. Again, like I said, to answer your question.
Okay, a little bit more leverage. We talked earlier a little while ago about things that can increase the value of your home. The question is, do all renovations you do on your home gonna make the value of your home increase?
No. All renovations that you do to a home do not increase the value, because you still have to consider the area that the house was in. So let's just say you can put all the granite, you can put the most prettiest brick you can find. You can have a gold composite shingle roof, but it's still going to boil down to the area that the house was in. So don't put too much money in your house and overthink it, because you won't, it's still going to boil down to where the house is located.
Right. Because again, it goes back to the comps. What a home selling for in that area, what the homes in the area have. If you're the only home in the area that has a pool, it's probably not going to make a big difference because you're the only one with a pool. So your comps, you have none. Right.
Location rules. And I'm gonna give you a reason. I'm gonna give you a little scenario. Okay. Around Southern Avenue, you have the railroad tracks on Southern Avenue.
Right.
On one side, you have South Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of the railroad tracks, you have Cooper Young area.
Yep.
So I can't use the Cooper Young area for comps for you on this side of the railroad tracks.
Wow.
You see what I'm getting? Because these houses will be $150,000, $200,000 more, and only thing is separating them is the railroad tracks.
Right.
So that's another thing that buyers and sellers have to be familiar with where the location is everything.
Everything.
Location.
Like they said, sometimes they say it like on shows or whatever, they say, depending on which side of the track you were born.
Right. And
in that case, you got to stay whichever. If you're on the left side, we're doing left side. On the right side, do the right side. We can't mix them.
Right. We had an appraisal done. We had a seller call us and say, "Why we can't use this house? It's $100,000 more," and we have to let them know. Okay, look at where it's at, ma'am. We have to kind of we have to coach them, because a lot of sellers don't know. They don't know why we can't use this comp. And we have to let them know, okay, well, it's the area, it's where it's at. And, some of them get mad and frustrated, but, they understand at the end of the day. They understand.
And then it's you got to do your job. You got to come up with an opinion, but there are guidelines you got to follow in order to come up with that opinion. It's not just a big old, I'm just going to guess this. You have steps you have to take to get to that opinion.
We have to protect ourselves.
Absolutely, you got to at all times, man. At all times.
Hey, listen, I'm not trying to go to jail for nobody, Keno.
Hey, nobody. Because once you go to jail, they'll forget about you anyway. So, right. I say the same thing too. I will take care of my clients at all costs within the lines.
I love my home cooked meals.
I'm not going to those. And when you want me to go to those lines, hey, sign here. Let's cancel this agreement. Go find somebody else that's going to just, But yeah, that's cool, man. So before we go, anything in particular, anything to wrap it up that you would want to say to a buyer or a seller that will definitely help them understand the process and why they should, when the agent say, hey, here's something you should do or something you shouldn't do. Because sometimes people want to, like we say, they want to do it. Well, I got to do this, I got to do that. And we'll say to them, let me come by the house and let me show you what I think are the little things you can do that will make the big difference, and in the end save you money and make you money. So yeah,
what I think sellers should do is leave the appraiser a list. Leave the appraiser a list of how old the appliances is. This saves us a lot of time of doing research. Okay, new HVAC system in 2023, roof replaced in 2020. Give us an estimate on everything you pretty much did on the home. Okay, how much did you spend on your countertops? How much did you spend on your cabinets? Okay, you did interior paint, you did exterior paint, you did landscaping, new hot water tank. Just give us an idea of what all you did to your property. And also declutter the home. If there's anything that you can move out the way to save us some time, do that, because we might miss some things. We're only human. Declutter the house. Give us a list of things, a list of upgrades that you did. Just give us pretty much a paper trail. If really pretty much the price is your number one option, give us something to go by, and that makes our job a lot easier. When I took my appraisal class, that was my first question that came out to the instructor. I said, "Is it illegal?" I didn't use the word illegal, but I said, "Is it ethical for an appraiser? For a seller to leave like a list of things they did?" And she was like, "Absolutely not. We encourage sellers to leave things that they did to the house because that gives us an idea of what we got."
Right.
So that helps us out a whole lot if the sellers can kind of give us kind of help us out with doing our homework, especially especially if you want to get get your appraisal appraised at the right price point as well.
Right. Because you're still gonna do your due diligence, but there's nothing wrong with leaving you information that can help you. Because if the roof, and they can leave you a book with the receipt, who did the roof and all that stuff.
Okay.
And then it says whatever. So then you got proof that, hey, this roof, well, from the seller, they said it. They give you proof that the roof was. That's cool.
I paid this for this. This is what I paid for this. This is what I paid for this. And that means we can get to adding and subtracting. Okay, we'll give you $1,500 more for this. We'll give you $2,000 more for this. So that's when we start playing with the numbers, as far as when we really find out what the different amenities you have, what the amenities are actually worth.
Cool, man. Hey, listen, Corey, man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That I tell you what, whoever was on here looking, they probably learn a lot, but I learn a lot too, because as an agent, sometimes when I go and talk to sellers and give them information about, hey, here's what we need to do, because I look at it as it's a partnership. Me and them going to do these things to help sell the home. Anything that they can do to make it better, I love to let them know. So I really appreciate the information. It's been really, really helpful, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, like I said, Corey is a real estate agent as well. He's also an appraiser. So yeah, and I think next week I might have his better half on talking about some other stuff. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, so man, thank you, Corey. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, Keno. I appreciate you having me. And it's just a pleasure to be able to give different pieces of advice to my fellow realtors about the appraisal industry, because everybody needs an appraiser that they can call if they have any questions or concerns. So I appreciate you having me, Keno, to answer these questions that you have.
All right, Corey. Thank you very much, man. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you around at the office or something.
Thank you, Keno. You have a good one. We'll talk.
Man. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Hey guys, thank you very much for tuning in again. I think that was such a good conversation. I learned a lot from that myself, because some of the little things he mentioned, I didn't know. Because truth be told, us agents, when it comes to appraising homes, a lot of us don't know anything about it. Can we just leave it up to them, and the house come back and it's appraised, and that's all we care about? We don't care about that usually until it come back and it say it doesn't appraise. Then we're like, oh boy, what do we do here? We know what to do. But if it comes back, the numbers is good, then we don't think of nothing else. But here, I just learned some things that I can help my sellers do, so that they can, first of all, let the home stand out when they put it on the market, without having to spend a whole lot of money. and things that would definitely help them when it comes time for the appraisal, so they don't have to worry about reducing the price. Now, sometimes things happen. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next Friday, like I said, I think I might have my broker on with me next Friday. I would put out a flyer, let you guys know if she's gonna be on with me. And I'm gonna tell you what the topics are gonna be yet. I gotta confirm it with her, but if it is, and that'll be a good one, we will have a nice conversation again. And every Friday, I'm gonna do my best to between 4:30, somewhere in that range, bring somebody on here that can definitely help you guys understand how this real estate really works. I'm gonna have people that have used me to sell their home, so they can tell you what the process was. I'm gonna have people that have used me to buy. Investors, I have a lot of investors that can also help people who are trying to invest in. How do you figure out ROI, return on investment, in case you didn't know? But again, thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Friday. All right. And you can check me out on all my social media channels. Everything is Keno Spring. All my social media channel is Keno Spring. You can call me at 901-301-4912. And I look for it. I'm here. Even if you don't choose me to sell or buy your home, as long as you're not on the contract with another agent, I will answer your question. I will answer. But if you're on the contract with an agent, there's stuff there that I can't do. So, but again, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you next Friday. Bye-bye.